The Philadelphia Eagles have signed SHAQ Leonard. We talked about this for about a week now. He was making his decision between the Eagles and the Cowboys. It looks like he decided with the Cowboys. Big Dom is going to pick him up right now. So we're going to talk about what he means for the Philadelphia Eagles defense and what we can look to kind of see from this defense now that he's added. Also, the Eagles don't seem to be done with SHAQ Leonard. There is a player that the Eagles are looking at that may make a lot of sense. So we'll talk about that as well. But let's run it.
You want Philly Philly?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Howie Roseman and company said, yeah, let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it, man. The Eagles go and make a big move, in my opinion, going out there, getting a SHAQ Leonard, who, in my opinion, immediately will definitely help out this defense. We'll get into that. We'll get into the guy that the Eagles are also looking at that may make a lot of sense for them as well. Before we get into that, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, join the family, man. We're on the road to 1 billion quadrillion if you are a better. Check down below for all of the links. We got prize picks and parlay picks will match you up to $100 when it comes to your deposit match. So we gonna get into this news, man. I'm excited for all this, man. SHAQ Leonard is someone we talked about for a while. I told y'all he was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. I told y'all I was told he was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. I was told right. So I'm happy about him being on the Eagles now. This was a player and a position that we needed to take more serious in the offseason. We necessarily didn't. We got some good play so far out of Morrow and, Zach Cunningham, but not what you want to see full time. SHAQ Leonard, while he's not that guy that he was when he was, a three-time All-Pro and, a straight dog, one of the best in the league, he still has some juice in him, and I know a lot of bad, negative plays are circulating for SHAQ Leonard, but I might put together a realistic highlight reel and put it out for members so that y'all can kind of see what time it really is with this guy. He's not, like I said, he's not who he was 3-4 years ago, but he's still pretty young. I believe he's only 28 or 29, or he might even be younger than that. But he's still got some juice in him, man. I truly do believe that coming to a team that is a contender, right? That's what he wanted. You're also coming to a team that you don't necessarily have to be the guy. We have some other good players on this defense. All you have to do is play your role. And realistically, that's the first thing I kind of want to bring up. His role on this team might not be that rapid, that it might not be that vampant in the beginning. And I think that's something that Eagles fans need to understand, because at the end of the day, he is coming into a whole new system. He is coming after about a week and a half of not playing, right? And he is coming off of injury from last year, if I'm not mistaken. So understand that he's probably not going to get thrown. He might, who knows, but he might not get thrown out there in the first game and against the Cowboys be everything we want him to be. I expect to see a lion's share of a lot of Christian Ellis, unfortunately, but I think that you kind of plug in SHAQ Leonard where you can. Kind of get some good plays for him, some easy plays, an easy package that is just easy for him to kind of, move to, because it really, I feel like a lot of defenses are very similar. We do a lot of different things when it comes to the back end and how we disguise things, but the biggest thing I think is language. So until he learns our language, learns how we speak on the back end, especially, it's going to probably be a bit of a learning curve for him. But I think that this is big, especially for the playoff push. Once you have a guy like SHAQ, that once he gets integrated to this defense, I do think he's going to give you good play. And I'm not going to say that, is he better than a Zach Cunningham right now? Is he better than a Anthony or Nicholas Morrow? I don't know why I always say Anthony. Nicholas Morrow, maybe not. Maybe not right now. Maybe not at this age. But I think bringing him in gives you that now versatility and that depth, because realistically, I like Christian Ellis, and I think that maybe down the line, I even said this in preseason when everybody was getting all hyped over him, maybe down the line he can be something. But right now, I think that he is right where he's kind of supposed to be, kind of that backup guy that's a special teamer. So I think that now allowing him to go back into that role, it helps the Philadelphia Eagles, because he saw a lot of snaps against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, a lot of, that's a whole story for another time. If you want to hear what I felt about that San Fran game, watch the show that I did this earlier today. I'm flushing it after that, not getting into that. But at the end of the day, Shaq, I think, is going to, like I said, take a little time to get integrated into this defense. But I think that once he does, we will say this signing paid dividends. I think that he is still a good player. Maybe not great, but he is still a good player that can go out there and make plays for you. And a very underrated part of this is that he's a veteran. I've been saying all year, all offseason, don't get me wrong. I know Nicholas Morrow is not young, and I know that, Zach Cunningham are not young, but Zach Cunningham more so than a Nicholas Morrow. He has actual starting, a lot of starting pedigree. Nicholas Morrow had like 1 year, if I'm not mistaken. SHAQ Leonard gives you that knowledge of being a high level player. What he might lack in explosiveness or just body, in terms of how healthy he is, right? He still has it in the mind. He still understands how to play this position at a high level. I think that adds to a repertoire of a Nicholas Morrow, adds to a repertoire of a Christian Ellis. I truly do believe that. And maybe it helps a guy like Nolan Smith, who I would not be mad at seeing some off-ball snaps. Now, I kind of feel like that's where SHAQ Leonard falls into this year. He's going to be probably our off-ball linebacker. I think that you're going to continue with either Nicholas Morrow, or I don't think they gave Zach Cunningham any green dot responsibilities, but once, Nakobe Dean comes back, I think that they'll kind of switch between that role. We'll see who really, lands with it. But I'm excited to see Nakobe Dean play with SHAQ Leonard as well. I think that this is a good pickup. Again, I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, we just won the Super Bowl because of a waiver move, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this is. I know he cleared waivers because of his contract, but that's what this is. This is another team sacrificing a decent player because of cap situation and where they are. So shout out to Howie for making this happen. I'm very, very excited. And like I said, we'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. I hope that the Eagles can figure out how to utilize him correctly, because I've seen a lot of misutilization of these linebackers, and that's something we talked about this morning, is that I don't understand why we have linebackers on slot receivers, on running backs. Tight ends, I kind of understand sometimes that's going to happen just, by numbers, but, why are we have had far too many instances where we've seen our linebackers on big time wide receivers, and they've made big time plays. They've gashed us for big time plays. And sometimes you got to look at tight ends and look at them as a skill player, look at them as a wide receiver, and, get your linebacker out of that situation. That's not a situation they're going to win. So I digress. I hope that we do right by a guy like SHAQ Leonard, and hopefully SHAQ Leonard can do right by us and maybe tell the coaching staff or the other players, hey, big dog, this ain't where you're supposed to be. You ain't supposed to be here. This isn't where we win. This isn't how we do well. So I think that is going to be a mutually beneficial relationship. Hopefully we go out there and get him a ring. And this might not be a short-term thing. I know we don't have the graphic up, but this might not be a short-term thing. This could be something that, hey, we say, listen, we'll give you 2 or 3 years. The Eagles do not like to spend at linebacker. So if he's not asking for an outrageous bag, which if he doesn't ball out, for the second half of this year, I don't think he really will. But either way, he's not going to probably ask for an outrageous bag. That falls right into the category of the Eagles, right? You're decent, let's pay you. Like, we're cool with that. So I could see the Eagles being like, listen, we can give you a long-term stability. It might not be a crazy amount of money, but it will be stability. So we'll see what happens with that. Another player that, the Eagles are talking about and talking to is the real Slim Shady. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, Zach Ertz is that guy. And Jeremy Fowler said, while the Eagles have wrapped up the SHAQ Leonard deal, they also inquired on old friend Zach Ertz, who is still evaluating options as of this afternoon, per source. One of the people that I've heard said that, the Ravens are one of the leading options for him, that, going out there and kind of replacing what Mark Andrews was for them. Obviously, I don't know if Zach Ertz can do that right now. I don't know what he's got left in the tank. I would be lying if I said I watched a lot of Arizona games right now. So it is what it is. I think that if the Eagles get back Zach Ertz, that would help our offense, especially when Dallas right now would. Excuse my alarm. It's that time. But right now, it would definitely help us. Don't get me wrong. But once Dallas Goedert gets back, I think having that 1-2 punch, being able to go back into the 12 personnel and really dominate in that area, because Zach Ertz, while he wasn't the greatest of blockers, he got better over time, and I'm sure he's still, you know, a very solid, sustainable blocker, and we all know what Dallas Goedert can do, and then we all know what both of them can do in the passing game. So, you know, it would be very interesting to see the Eagles go ahead and pull the trigger on a Zach Ertz, and I doubt that it would be expensive. I'm sure that Zach Ertz wouldn't mind. I'm sure that he would fit into this locker room and be looked at as a leader. And again, I say this again about all of our young players, because Dallas Goedert's still, you know, semi-young. But you look at the guys behind him, a Jack Stahl, a Grant Calcaterra, these guys can learn. You know, Albert O, these guys can learn from a guy like Zach Ertz, who wasn't necessarily as athletic as some of these guys are, right? But he made a way in the NFL, and he understands route concepts. He understands how to win one-on-ones, and that's something I think sometimes especially our tight end group outside of Dallas Goedert, they lacking. So I think that this is something that could be good. Obviously gives you another weapon, another big body for Jalen Hertz, even if it's just in pass protection. I think that that's a part of this that people maybe don't really bring up. But if you go to 12 personnel, you have a little bit more pass protection than maybe you did if you had a Grant Calcaterra out there. Jack Stahl, I think, is a good blocker. But either way, I think that getting a Zach Ertz would be huge for the Eagles as well, even if it's just for the familiarity of it and, you know, getting him another ring. I think SHAQ Leonard would be it was a huge signing, and I think we will see that pay dividends very, very shortly. But I would love to know what you guys think. Is there anybody out there you guys want to sign? Is there anybody out there you are glad we aren't even looking at it? Well, how are you guys feeling right now? Because there are some big names out there, and Zach Ertz is not just, you know, he's not the only guy. There's other guys out there. Marcus Peters, one of them, and a couple other guys that might request a release pretty soon here. So you guys let me know in the comments. Other than that, I appreciate all of you. Like I said, please be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, show the love, show the love. But y'all know what it is, man. It's Fly Eagles Fly. We are out here. Peace!
Everywhere. This is for
Yeah.
you.
Fly was flying on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here cool on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season here, early time to do 'em in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.